Hi, welcome to Andrew Buckle book review of Art Nouveau, prints, illustrations and posters. Now this book is from Omega and the book came out in 1984. It's got 295 odd pages and it's in black and white and colour all the way through, and you can see there the back cover. Now originally came out in Germany in 1968 and I bought it for £1.99 in my local Oxfam shop. I love that shop just for picking up all kinds of books. I've got loads of ones from all over the place. And I just love it when you sort of find books from like Hungary, Poland, whatever, and you think, oh, something book from like 1953 or something. You think, oh, that'll do for £1 or £1.95. This one obviously isn't that sort of, but it's still a great source of some really unusual books. So it's not always, of course, looking online. You can find them in bookshops, and they're just great. Art Nouveau, prints, illustrations, and posters. It's a real, you can see, a substantial size book. Not too heavy. It's reasonably light. It's not like a super quality heavy. Some art books, you can get ones that are like 700, 800 pages, literally are weighing a ton, Taschen or sort of, those sort of things. Virtually impossible to pick up. This one is certainly reasonably easy and light to pick up. And you've got details there. See there, the contributions by, etc. and Omega Books. Now, I assume this book is out of print, but you should be able to find copies, I'm certain, online. Now, it's split by, now I'm just going to try and get that so you can see it, by country. You see there, France, England, etc. You've got Belgium, Holland, Scandinavia, the usual suspects for Art Nouveau works. And you've got preface there, always good. Introductions, and then you go into the artwork. Now, it covers lots of artists I've never heard of. You can see there, Emile Bernard, just a beautiful piece of work there, and that's the thing I like about this. And here's one that's Paul Gauguin. Now most of them they actually have dates, but this one, for some weird reason, it gives just details: colour, woodcut, reduced, but that's it. It doesn't give any detail about the year. So now it does have obviously some famous images. That's obviously a fairly well known one, but there's also lots of ones that I've never seen, obviously from magazines. Illustrations, the sort of ones that quite often do turn up at book fairs that I just love. This sort of thing, I mean, that's just great. Look at that title page there, lovely woodcut there. Just beautiful. Wren's City Churches. When was that from? 1883. Probably not one that regularly turns up, but still, just, again, full of just some beautiful, beautiful illustrations all the way through this. And let's just go for another, again, artist after artist I've never heard of. And maybe other people have. Maybe they put comments saying, you should have heard of him or her. But there's just beautiful, beautiful works all the way through. This magazine, I've got a copy of this, Pan, 1895. Obviously not that copy, but I have got a copy of Pan. I think my copy is slightly a bit later. But just absolutely beautiful. And this one, Ludwig von Hoffmann. And you can see again some illustration there. Just beautiful art. And it gives a bit of detail. Many of these artists, I assume, there might be some books about them, probably from like 1914 or something. You can often find a reference to and think, oh, that would be really good. Look at that, just beautiful, absolutely beautiful artwork. And this one, I don't know, this is Melchior Lechter. No idea. Never heard of him. I imagine was a major artist, but I have no idea. But again, you just got page after page of just beautiful artwork all the way through this. You've got the magazine, the German one, Jugend. I don't know how it was said, but still stunning. And of course, Italy there. Again, illustration after illustration. I mean, look at it. Some of that would like be perfect in like 1960s as well. 1967, you could imagine that sort of hippie period with that sort of style. Just beautiful. Well, this one here. Maybe this book would have been brilliant. That's probably why it came out in 1968. Probably thinking about it because, of course, that was sort of thing very popular at that time. But why wasn't this available in the UK? Or maybe it was. Maybe you could import it. But you got there a lovely illustration by Joseph Vachal, woodcut, Little Elf's Pilgrimage. And actually, I think one of the great thing about some of these is quite often you think, wow, quite inspirational in terms of you looking for ideas for stories and very unusual fairy tale, fantasy, sort of sword and sort of whatever. Imagine you could go through this and find tons of great works. You think, oh, that's quite inspirational. Of course, many of them were probably based on poems or stories at the time. This one is from 1901 and it's just brilliant. I just love this book. Really worth checking out. One of I think, certainly the best Art Nouveau book that I've got. I've got a few books that are very good, I'm really happy with. But again, they're all filled with the usual things. It's got all the pots and pans and the various buildings and the staircases or whatever, all those sort of things, which are all great. But this one is just obviously the illustrations, and I think just really, really beautiful. Really pleased I picked this one up. Like I say, for basically next to nothing, for just filled with. It's one of those books that quite often when you see it, I think, yes, I've got to pick that one up, because I know if I go back next week or even 10 minutes later, someone else has bought it, and you think, I wish I'd picked that one up. Especially if you go back and find out that the book is ridiculously overpriced, and you think, no, should have got it when it was in the charity shop. But still, I love this book. Art Nouveau, prints, illustrations and posters. Hopefully I can find other books of this quality, because I think this is a real lovely. I love illustrations, all the sort of magazines. Of course, many of these magazines look like, say, Yugen, Pan. They're not particularly difficult to find. You can find them, but they're not so sort of readily available as perhaps they should, because I think they're full of some great artwork. And sadly, most of it's sort of like lost and forgotten, unless you go to like the Victorian Albert Art Library or something, and you can find obviously all the old magazines there. But this book gives you many examples and many artists to check up and find out more about. Totally recommended.